Sit by the camera, Katie. Sit by me. I'll have somebody else. Yeah. Eliana, sit right here. No, I don't want to be next to the camera. I might say something. You guys can sit right here.
our annual Veterans Day Assembly here at Great Bend High School. Prior to us getting started, we ask that, just a reminder that you silence your electronic devices, and we thank you in advance for the respect Once again, we'd ask that you silence your electronic devices, and we thank you in advance for the respect displayed for our veterans at today's event. At this time, I'd ask you to please all stand. Will the American Legion and Legion Riders please advance the colors? At this time, we will recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Great Bend High School Stuco President, Paige Texton.
Please recite the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing while the Great Bend High School Acapella Choir, under the direction of Mrs. Susan Stanball, accompanied today by Dr. Alejandro Avila, now sing the Star Spangled Banner. Some have become disabled for life, while countless others have given the ultimate sacrifice. All who have served have given up some of the best years of their lives. Why did they do it, you ask? Simply because there was a job to be done, and they were the ones called to do it. What was the result of their sacrifice? Simply this: America's freedoms and liberties remain ours to control. If we value anything more than freedom, we will lose our freedom. We may be certain about many things in America today, but one should have no reason to be uncertain about the respect and honor we owe to those who have served in the nation's armed forces. Lastly, to those young Americans in uniform today, here and around the world, we say Godspeed and send out to you our prayers and sincere wishes for a safe return home. Sorry. At this time, the Brigham High School a cappella choir will now sing God Bless the USA. In the aftermath of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day became Veterans Day, a holiday dedicated to American veterans of all wars. Though the Treaty of Versailles was signed on June 28, 1919, November 11th remained in the public imagination as the date that marked the end of the war to end all wars. In November 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as the first commemoration of Armistice Day. The day's observation included parades and public gatherings, as well as a brief pause in business activities at 11 a.m. On November 11, 1921, an unidentified American soldier killed in World War I was buried at Arlington National Cemetery, which lies across the river from Washington, D.C. Arlington National Cemetery bears witness to America's history, pays tribute to our military, and recognizes the sacrifice made by our men and women in uniform. The tomb of the unknown soldier is guarded by military personnel 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. U.S. Congress has designated that the day a legal holiday in honor of those who participated in the war. On the same day, unidentified soldiers were laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London and at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. On June 4, 1926, Congress passed a resolution that the recurring anniversary of November 11, 1918 should be commemorated with Thanksgiving and prayer and exercise designated to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations, and that the President should issue an annual proclamation calling for the observance of Armistice Day. By that time, 27 state legislatures had made November 11th a legal holiday. An act approved May 13, 1938, made November 11th a legal federal holiday. Today, all 50 states have now followed that resolution by declaring the 11th of November a legal holiday. Veterans Day continues to be observed on November 11th regardless of what day of the week on which it falls. The restoration of the observance of Veterans Day to November 11th not only preserves the historical significance of the date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor America's veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and a willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. It is with honor and great privilege that I welcome our guest speaker. Our guest speaker is Bruce Jameson. He is a Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Jameson. He is the Chief of Wing Plans and Programs, 22nd Air Refueling Group, or Air Refueling Wing, at McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita. He is a proud 2004 Great Bend High School graduate. Following Great Bend High School, he then graduated from the United States Air Force Academy. He has flown several missions worldwide, including combat missions in support of Operations Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom's Sentinel, Inherent Resolve, and Resolute Support. Once again, it's with great pleasure that I introduce our speaker for today, Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Jameson.
Mr. Westhouse and I, we were speaking a little bit ago, and he told me that his son is actually in Army OTS training right now. 19-week course, very intensive right afterwards. He's going to be in charge of his first group of soldiers, so that's very exciting. So I know Veterans Day is near and dear to his heart, so again, thank you so much. Good morning, Great Bend High School. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Bruce Jameson, United States Air Force KC-135 pilot for McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita. I'm beyond honored by the opportunity to speak to you today. Like many of our distinguished guests here, I've spent a good portion of my career overseas, to include nearly 4 years deployed to combat zones conducting operations in the Middle East, Pacific, Africa, and European countries. On this 70th Veterans Day, I am grateful to be here with you to honor all of the veterans who came before us, those who stand alongside us, and those who will come after us. I would like to begin by saying a few special thank yous. First, to Mrs. Davis for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today, and the rest of the Great Bend High School teachers and staff, especially those who had to put up with me a few short years ago. Mrs. Hiss, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Fawn Steele, Mrs. Austin, and anyone else that's still around that I may have left out. Next, thank you so much to Great Bend High School students in attendance and local communities throughout America that continue to show unwavering support to our veterans. It took going around the world for me to realize how special Great Bend High School is, and Great Bend in general. The patriotism and love of country is exhibited here in many ways we do not see in most other locations. The first time I truly realized the impact of local support to those who defend against foreign enemies was demonstrated by the unexpected gift of American people in 1980. I received a handmade book of valor upon return from an overseas tour in Europe. I take it with me wherever I move, and it always reminds me of home that no matter how far away I am, the people of Great Bend will always be there with me. I would also like to thank the families that support those while away and provide them with the care they need when they return. Those who have helped shoulder the weight of war and the burdens of sacrifice. To the mothers, fathers, spouses, children of our military men and women. To my wife Melissa, who is also serving alongside. To my son Grant, my mother Linda, my father Mike, my grandmother Elaine, and the rest of my family who inspire me to embrace every day with love and enthusiasm. Thank you so much. Thank you to the members of the local veterans chapters that were able to join us here today, as well as all the veterans throughout the world who continue to carry on the legacy of military excellence. Your service and sacrifice represent the best of us and the best of America. We salute you and appreciate the great cost that all of them serve. Finally, and most importantly, we thank those veterans no longer with us. If I may quote President Reagan, in our memories, in our hearts, we hold them close to us still. Yet we also know, even as their families knew when they last looked upon them, that they can never be fully ours again. That they belong now to God, and to that which they so selflessly made a final and eternal act of devotion. We would not forget them. Even if they were not our own, we would not forget them. For all time, they are what we can only aspire to be. Giving, unselfish, the epitome of human love to lay down one's life so that others may live. As Mr. Westerhouse said, on November 11, 1919, we first observed this day as Armistice Day, in recognition of the end of World War I and in honor of its fallen heroes. In 1926, Congress called for annual observations of the anniversary. Of 1938, it was an official federal holiday. A few decades later, in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower officially changed the name of the holiday from Armistice Day to Veterans Day, and is currently known today. Veterans Day reminds the country of American men and women who defended our nation and its interests from World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and most recently the war in Afghanistan. I'll never forget the looks of relief on the faces of American civilians being extracted from Afghanistan when they realized they were in the hands of the U.S. military and safe from the threat of the advancing Taliban. We know not when the dark hours of the war will come, and we know not where and to what extent those malevolent actors will target the weak and the oppressed. We do know, however, that in those moments, the men and women of the United States military will and have continued to respond. When our nation is faced with great obstacles, it is the contribution and the sacrifice of so many men and women and their families have made that permits this country to occupy its present location with responsibility and freedom, and allows us to be here today. Today, we are here to celebrate, to honor, to commemorate the dead and the living, the young men and women who in every war since this country began have given testimony to their loyalty to their country and to their own great courage. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but 2 decades ago I was sitting in Mrs. Fonstein's computer class during the first term. We turned on the TV and found a smoking hole inside of the World Trade Center. None of us knew what was going on. A few minutes later, we watched the second plane strike. Forever all of the force of America and the entire world. Like thousands of others in my generation, this heinous attack gave me the motivation to join the military. I went on to serve in joint coalition operations throughout the globe, and along the way, I learned what it is to answer our nation's call. Like President Kennedy talked about in his Veterans Day address in 1961, we shall achieve that peace only with patience, perseverance, and courage. As we work with allies in the first interest of common goals, call upon the courage of future generations, as you, to take up the standard and overcome adversaries' skill, attack, harassment, and obstruction. When we talk about Veterans Day, you'll often hear the word sacrifice. But I imagine that if you talk to these veterans today, they won't dwell on what they lost, but instead they will look back fondly on what they made. They will tell you about the friends they made in their journey and the impact they had on the lives of 3 people throughout the world. Now, it wouldn't be much of a pilot if I didn't take the opportunity to tell a quick war story from a straight line example. It was back in August of 2014. I was flying refueling operations out of Qatar, Turkey, beginning of the ISIS offensive. Tens of thousands of Yazidi Kurds facing death, torture, and enslavement at the hands of ISIS terrorists fled to the Sinjar mountain range in northern Syria, where they were trapped with no food, no water, and no shelter. Over 6 days and nights, we struck the ISIS forces. We delivered airdrop bundles containing 28,000 meals and 1,500 gallons of fresh drinking water. Our support allowed the Peshmerga fighters to set up resistance and usher thousands of vulnerable Yazidis to safety. In times of uncertainty, when no other force in the world will stand up for those who can't protect themselves, it has been the American warfighter who answers the call, who aren't afraid to put their hands dirty. I could go into much more detail and talk for hours about flying missions in the desert, though I'm sure most of our vets have much better stories than I do. However, in the interest of time, the end of the event Mrs. Davis from ushering me off the stage, I'll leave you with a parting thought inspired by President Kennedy. In the name of those who serve in this country before, let there be no veterans omitted from the war, not because all shall have perished, but because all shall have learned to live together in peace. And to our departed brothers and sisters, wherever they may rest, they are the race immortal, whose beams make broad the common light of day. Though time may end, though death has barred their control, these we salute, which name was passed away. Thank you, God bless.
Okay, at this time, we would now like to recognize all the veterans in attendance. The band will play Salute to America's Finest. Veterans in attendance, please stand when the band plays your branch's theme song. Mr. Matthews. At this time, we would like to now recognize any student or faculty member that has a relative that is currently serving in the military. If you do, please stand. How about a round of applause? Thank you. At this time, the Great Bend High School Orchestra will now play "Oh America" with special guest vocalist Mrs. Shelley Duvall. Located in the region of western Belgium and northern France. The poem presented a striking image of the bright red flowers blooming among rows of white crosses and became a rallying cry to all who fought in the First World War. The first printed version of it reportedly was in December of 1915 in the British magazine Punch. The poem In Flanders Fields by John McCurry. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row. That mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. Now for the playing of taps. Students, thank you for your respect displayed here today to our veterans. I'd like to thank the social studies staff for making this happen. Mr. Matthews, Ms. Stanwell, Ms. Manning, for their wonderful playing today, singing today. It's truly inspiring. The custodial staff, American Legion Riders, and the VFW, and certainly last but not least, our veterans here today we celebrate. Thank you again for your service to this country. At this time, we ask you to please stand while the American Legion and American Legion Riders retire our colors. Thank you again.